Oh dear God, there's just so much to do. Ah. What's going on, guys? So today on this Shoki 00CTOBER 5 review, we're going to be looking at another RG, and you're probably wondering why I didn't do this one first. It's because I had all the Awakening of Trailblazer stuff together. It is what it is. And it is the RG, Excitement Embodied, Double O Riser, Celestial Wing Mobile Suit GN-0000, plus GNR-010, into 010. Real Grade is a new brand which, as its name indicates, aims to be the real thing. Fine details are reproduced along with abundant colored parts. The movable range, which is as wide as possible, was mounted on the assembled inner frame, which is simply cut out. We want to tell all generations who know Gundam of the pleasure and excitement of making a mobile suit. Please be sure to enjoy the numerous gimmicks incorporated in this palm-size 1/144 scale model. That is the most pretentious frickin' write-up I've ever seen in my life. Good lord, Bandai. So speaking of that, Bandai 2015, red Bandai logo down there. I did pick this up from BBTS, but I did find it elsewhere as well. BBTS had it for the most decent price and could get it to me quick enough. So, like, the last half of these reviews, not even half, the last 5 reviews of this month all came from BBTS, for those who got to see this on the Patreon whenever I got stuff in. So yeah, nice image here, CG render up close of head, CG render of full Gundam. There, it is what it is. And this one's all decorated and stuff. Mine is not, because I don't like doing that. So, you know, personal preference and all that. What do you mean personal preference? Anyways, so you got RG-1144, all the write-ups there, and it's in Japanese, but I can't read it because I'm not. And then they've got Inovremo. I'm sure that's what it's talking about. And then you got things showing you how frames work. And then you got stickers. Look, you can do stickers. And then you got, hey, that's an O-riser. That's pretty cool. And it goes on a stand. And then you've got showing how armpits work, and then how things work. I don't know if that's showing you how tall it is. What? I don't even understand. And you've got, hey, look, a Gundam, and then all the stuff in the box, and then teeny little figures that I didn't do anything with, because I'm not even going to attempt, with the equipment I have, I'm not going to attempt to paint tiny little figures for these. Then you got its number 18 in the line, and Bandai.net. And then RG right there in as big of letters as possible, and Bandai logo right there. Also, I like to have the O-risers here. And then hold on, just real quick. Let's see. Yeah, if you go to the other end, it does have the 00 head. So that's kind of cool how they do that. But then on this side, we've got action. I'm sure it would say action right there. So it's like, look, I can swing a sword. Look, I can poke things. Look, I've got more swords. Holy crap. Look, I've got a thing strapped to my back. Look, I've got details and stuff all over me because I'm special. And then you've got a warning there that probably tells you to build the thing carefully. Hey, don't tell me how to do my job. And then look, 15, whatever that means. You get PS, ABS, and PP. It'll go with toilet and the number 3,000 yen. So, 30 some odd dollars. I think I paid around about that, to be totally honest. And then you got a QR code there for Bandai.net. But then, most importantly, you got CG Works is by Eto Koji. Finish Works is by Ilka Yamag, or ILCA Yamag. No idea what's going on there. But that's how the RG do. Yay. There's still a bunch of runners in the box that have small unused parts on it. There's stuff that you're not going to use that's all kind of specifically RG stuff related. And then things that I just chose not to use. So that's that. So let's get to it. Why did I lift it that way? Alright, so I'm going to try something. I don't know if I'm going to pull it off, but I'm going to try to do a dual version of the turntable time. So I'm going to have the O Gundam on one side and the O Riser on the other. And we'll talk about how this build went. So I'm going to flip on the switch. And there we go. So, RG. RG is my least favorite scale or type, however you want to say it, grade, I guess. So obviously I really do enjoy HGs, which is the same scale as this. But RGs are all the complication of having an MG with the added bonus of being tiny and not being able to hold up its own weight in a lot of aspects. That was my big problem, if you recall, with the Quanta. Now, the 00 itself, now I've built several of the MGs. This has a lot of very similar aspects to it as you go, but also has a lot of new engineering. Even in the O-Riser has some new engineering, which is pretty cool in and of itself. But then some of it seems silly. Like they didn't need to over-engineer it. And I think that seems to be the name of the game for this line. Over-engineer, overcomplicate. It may look good when it's done. It looks cooler, has more details than the HG, but it's so much more than you really kind of need. And that's the thing that bothers me with the RG line. So, with that out of the way, and hopefully I pulled that off, let's take a look at the Gundam closer. Okay, I gotta move the camera ever so slightly and then wiggle it. So, the Gundam itself, as previously stated, looks really good. Man, is it finicky and hard to put together. In comparison, once again, I'm used to HGs. I like HGs. RGs have a reputation that is well deserved in being very well detailed and complicated. So, actually, I got a little bit of a. It's like a tiny little chunk of red nub stuck in that panel line. I got this one done quicker than I expected, but then again, I've also built a ton of 00 kits, so that is a thing. The head does look good. Once again, slightly overcomplicated. I had an issue with the eyes wanting to stay in place, like the actual sticker for the eyes. Didn't really want to stay where it needed to go. Oh, I missed a nub right there on the little earpiece. Some of these parts are so tiny, it's really difficult to finagle them. Like the fact that the color separation, so these are slightly gray where the rest is all white. So that piece is totally separate, stuff like that. My little yellow horn pieces there were bent out of the box. So that was annoying. There's also no front camera little thingy there to go right above the red jewel. So that's kind of disappointing. I do like all of this going on here, the color separation. The funny thing is they don't bother to engineer where the cockpit goes, which this is the cockpit as far as I know. Maybe it does. It does slide forward. I'm stupid. That does slide forward, and there is actually the cockpit door. You know, when I say a thing and then I instantly prove myself wrong, I always feel good. As for articulation, the head is on a ball joint with a hinge, as far as I know. I think is how that works. It might just be a double ball joint. There, it just does wiggly waggly, nothing crazy going on there. The shoulders are really tight, but you know, that all assembles the same way. You do get a little bit of a hinge here, as long as all of this is clearing things, which it clearly is not. Puns. And then you do get a little bit of a butterfly joint that can pull out like that. Just be careful. The vents on the chest do move a little bit, and you do get some teapot action. It's all tight, but it does work. It does a little teapot action there. Once again, I'm going to be working on my lighting after this because I'm having a hard time balancing the lighting right now. He does also, well, he should have some forward movement. It took a second, but it got to go. There we go. So it's hinging both here and there. Every time a new joint starts to move on this, I get a little scared because things start to get floppy. You can see the legs, the hips right there, are already getting floppy. The arm can come out, but there's, you know, a GN drive in the way. It can move ever so slightly. You do get bicep swivel that's here, not here, which is always interesting. You do get the famous double jointed elbows. Yeah, they're not really that famous. Actually, is that not a double jointed? What? I thought that was a double jointed elbow. No, that's all. Hold on. Could have sworn. If it is, it's super subtle and it's annoying me. You do get single jointed wrist action there, and then the ball joint wrist there. No in-out swivel on these hands. And these are just the stuff holding hands. They're the ones I'm going to use for most of this review. I will show the other hands that come with it, but that's going to be the full extent of it. You do get little tiny ball joint mounted hip skirts, which are annoying, and you get the front Y skirt, which can just pivot and go in all directions. You have the legs that can kick forward that far for a decent chorus line. They can go out to the side for a good Jean-Claude. And then, do you think Jean-Claude Van Damme existed in this universe? I know technically it's our universe, being the AD timeline, but did Jean-Claude, was he still famous? So you get hip rotation, and you can go all the way around. I said hip, but thigh rotation. Once again, why would you? Then you do get double jointed knee there, so it actually hinges here, and gets to there before it gets blocked by its own self. So it can't kick itself in its own butt. You do get these really nice GN condensers, which is cool. I found out some neat stuff. I'll talk about it here in a minute. Rodimus asked me a question, leading me to do a tiny bit of research to find the exact answer, and it was cool. It was really neat information that I found out about how GN condensers and certain GN weapons work. This little guy does flap up, but I don't think that leads to anything. Because part of me hoped that there was still a hinge here, but obviously there's not going to be. Don't force that, by the way, dummy. Okay, so you have ankle hinge, or actually you got ball here, and I'm pretty sure it does wiggle waggle there. You do get the side to side. I'm ignoring that. You get the side to side, foot rotation, toe point, extra toe point that's so good it just falls the hell off. That should seem very familiar. I believe I thought these front skirts moved. They do. It is on a hinge. It's right there, but it's not wanting to pivot at all. So screw you then. And then if you come to the back, you do get the butt skirt with the beam sabers attached, which can flippy floppy. And these are on little thingies that can flip out. You do have the backpack back here, which is different from all the other backpacks that have ever come on a 00 kit because of how this situation functions. So you use a double hinge here to cover up the peg for the O-riser instead of just a, slider. And you get the little thruster bits here, which do pivot ever so slightly. They're on a hinge inside. And then you get these guys here, which can go forward and back, up and down, like so. There goes that knee armor again. Back of the knee armor? What exactly would you call that? Okay, so the GN drives are interesting, so let's just talk about this. So they overcomplicated this again. In the MG, there's a little tiny switch right here you can pull that will unlock this. Otherwise, you can't raise that out any. In this, you actually pull down on the whole GN drive. You see how that just kind of separates a little bit? Or technically speaking, I think this maybe is moving up. Either way, that gives you the leverage to move the GN drive out. So you can get different positions there. Also, if you come under here, the drive itself can rotate, but the only way it does and stays is by removing that, and then you close that back up, and then that, well, it should have locked in place. It did not. That was strange. Because that tab is supposed to kind of lock the GN drive from rotating. There it goes. All right. So that'll work. And then you can see here these little extra slots on that section. So that's the part you always want to have facing down. You also get rotation that way. But I'm going to make these fold flat temporarily, like that. I mean, it's a neat way to lock it. It's just potentially complicated. I get how the slider joint that's on the MG wouldn't really work. It'd be too small. It's already a little finicky on the MG. So they had to engineer something. So this is not just the MG shrunk down. Some of the stuff, the part separation and engineering is definitely that, but not wholly, as it were. So let's go over his base equipment. And you get the shields, which he originally had. So these are the same type of deals that we usually get with the 00. And this is the peg together version, and if one is so inclined, you could stick it onto his elbow like that and just have his big ass forearm shield, which I think was the dumbest thing that this thing could have possibly ever had. And see, he's already starting to do the splits without wanting to. And those just very lightly tab together for obvious reasons. And then you also have the gimmick where this can move back and then completely fall the hell apart. So that's the thing that always happens. So you've got 4 little tab holes there, and you've got 6 tab slots on this. So if you just scooch this up, that gets you to lock in place. And then also the blade does elongate, so to speak. Okay, and then with the 4 tabs, you're always having 4 locked in like so. So this is the mounted mode. You can put these on the forearms if you want to be more like bladed weapons, and also the main reason you have them is to go on the GN shields, or GN the GN drive pods, so to speak. Come on. And they just tab in right there. So for those who don't recall, that's basically how he looked when he first launched. I love the fact that Setsuna launched in Trans Am to try to sync. Well, it didn't launch in Trans Am. You just hopped in and went, Trans Am, wait, what? Hey, you can't just do that. And I was like, I'm going to do it. All right. The other thing you got here is his GN Sword 2, if I recall. That is the correct number. I'm sure somebody subsplain. The only thing I don't like is that these aren't green, but that's can be clear, can be green. I prefer them to be green. They're very similar to the MG, just kind of shrunk down. Of course, you get 2 of those, and I forget which way they technically go. I think they go like this, but you have the hip skirts here with these little tab dealies that you can just plug in like that. And this is one of the dumber things that it can do, but weapon storage is always good. And I know I didn't do a cutaway there because I don't have any spare cutaways lying around, so I'm just going to say it. So weapon storage is a good thing. It's just that this is very annoying weapon storage, only for the fact that trying to line it up. It's better than what the MG does with the way that tabs in a little circular clip that goes around, but they are what they are. So, and then once again, you can unplug that. So we're going to put him from sword mode to rifle mode. Where's my focus? And you do have to unplug it, plug it back in. So there's your rifle mode. Go ahead and flip the guard forward, and then disconnect the handle. And so now you have a super thin and flimsy bit here, and a super thin and flimsy bit there. And it occurred to me that I have these backwards side to side because of the way they plug into the hands. So you have the little tab there, and I believe there's probably a different tab per which way he's holding the gun or the weapon. So I'm going to plug it into there, which seems to be the way it makes the most amount of sense. And then you can just slide the hand back on like so. And I do dig that. I like how that works. The only thing he's lacking is the kind of forearm. There should be a plug for the gun in the forearm where it technically gets powered by the Gundam, and it does not do that. So that part does annoy me. So let's put this one in sword mode in his other hand, and you can see the lower tab will be for sword mode. And I'm about to sneeze. Bless me. So there you go. So you got the 2 GN Sword 2s in their differing modes. And because this is based off of the MG, you do get the beam effect shooty parts. So, and they do attach the same way the MG does. And I am hard pressed to recall if the HG comes with anything like these. I don't believe they do. but I've only built the Trans Am version, and I don't know if that's the most hopeful version. Now, of course, after the fact, I've seen that at least the HG designer color version of the 00 Riser is available. Oh, I did not get the hand together properly. I know a lot of people want to criticize me for the way I review stuff, and I don't edit out mistakes for the most part, and I don't practice a lot of the stuff beforehand because, frankly, I feel that having a fully rehearsed, you see no issues type review isn't 100% honest. Is it streamlined and nice for those who just want the very basic information? Sure. But it also doesn't let you know how difficult that is. So putting those on there is, see, look, I didn't even get that one straight. So you got to get it kind of right down the line, and it's got a big long tab that sort of, quote unquote, locks it in place. So that's just, it is what it is. So you can run around and you can slice the crap out of people if you want, however you want to do that. Or those are technically meant to be bolts. I don't know exactly which way it goes, because I know he can shoot beam blades, and like you see that throughout the series later once he really gets the O-Riser and goes into battles and stuff like that. So I'm going to pull those away for the time being. And we are going to look at Zahan's. So he does come with some expressive hands. Whoop-de-doo. Not going to use those. And he comes with some fist hands. Whoop-de-doo. Not going to use those. And he comes with the posable RG hands. As you don't see those out here, I didn't even bother. And one thing I completely forgot about the GN swords. If you do this number, you do get a combined form. Yay! You get the combine tab together form. I'm going to actually flip that around so it'll hold it together. There we go. That's the smart way to do that. So if you actually do that where the handles will stay together, I believe it makes far more sense. So I know he did this at least once in the series where he had the swords in a combined form like this, but it's very impractical in model form because this is super flimsy. And you can, good God, this is like sword impulse ridiculous. So yeah, so once again, you can do that if you so choose. Okay, so that's enough of just the base Gundam. I keep saying that and then I find more stuff to just because. Okay, so beam sabers also he has. So you can have the ones on the butt skirt, you can remove them, but these are the ones that are actually meant to tab into the hands. As you see, they have tabs. If you guys actually care about lights or beam sabers, there you go. If you don't care about beam sabers, you could have skipped that section entirely, right? Right. So let's look at the other component of this guy. And yes, I know the hands are still off. There's a reason for that. And we have the O-Riser. So we're this far into this video and we're just now getting to the O-Riser. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of shit with this. So, O-Riser looks good. It does what O-Riser do. It looks white and blue and a little bit of gray. And does give you options between clear cockpit or orange cockpit. I'm an orange cockpit fan. But if you're going to go for the movie version or the GN particle tank version, you switch that out for the clear. I like the orange because that's how it looked originally. Now, of course, it does all the things that O-Riser do right off the bat. So you can have wings come out if you want, although technically speaking, that is more for actual O-Riser or double O-Riser form. So you push that down, it does the things. So that's pretty cool. You can tuck those in, you can move all kinds of things. Now, like the MG, it does have landing gear. One thing it also has is little gray pieces that look like landing gear that are folded in. I don't care to use those because basically if I'm using this as the actual O-Riser mounted, which it will be, I don't care. But the funny thing is the landing gear don't really touch the ground, or at least the front one here doesn't. It's like the nose is like pointed downward. Also, there's like the T-tabs that are for the landing gear are so small and finicky, it's a little scary, if I'm 100% honest with you guys. But I like the O-Riser. It's always been one of my favorite support vehicles, and I love when it first came out of the Ptolemy to go help, when they first launched it. Now, this in and of itself has a couple of interesting flavors. Yeah, flavors. I said it. You can take the GN shield thingies and plug them into the sides of it, because of course this is kind of a carrier vehicle as well. In a in a very specific manner, it does that. So you can have that, which is pretty cool, not gonna lie. And then if you want to go ahead and yoink the landing gear off, like so, you can bring in a stand. Mind you, this is a combination of an MG and an HG stand because, well, that's what I've got going on. You can utilize this little guy here, which is a stand adapter. And I don't think front to back honestly matters. But this, he does have his 2 tabs there. And you've got 2 slots right there. And you can just plug that on. And now you can have it flying about. And if I was smarter, I would have done that for the turntable time. But as we all know, you can finish the sentence if you want. Okay. And then the hard part is actually kind of getting that untapped. Now there's another thing he can do because, well, the Gundam does occasionally need to have stuff brought to him. And you can have the GN Sword 3, and using this nice little fold-away T-tab, you can plug that in there right as the AC comes on, so you guys can all hear the AC in the background. And then just kind of fold up the little winglets a little bit to make it look a little more dynamic, and he can bring the GN Sword into battle, which is pretty cool. I really do dig that. I think the first time he launched, he might have done that. I don't believe Setsuna launched with the GN Sword, so it could be right. I don't know, could be wrong as well. Now, once again, there's something else you can do with this because it launches with said GN Sword still attached. If you notice, there's a little thingy right there, which is usually filled in with this little guy. And it comes with landing gear for that. Yeah, a landing gear on a sword. Yeah, this is the world we live in now. So if you want, you can have it like that. That's really crazy. And even still in the craziness, as it were, I was just trying to figure out. I thought you could put this all on the stand as well. Why am I thinking you can't now? Maybe you can. Hold on. So let's pull it off of there. In theory. I don't know that it's meant to do that, but it can. So yeah, you can still have it on a stand that way. Like I said, I don't know if that's what that's meant to do, but I did it. I mean, are you gonna get mad at me for doing that? You might. I don't know. You guys are weird sometimes. All right, so let's put this cover back in there, like so. So I don't think that would stay in there very well if you did it that way. But I don't know. O-Riser is always a cool deal, and the fact that you can take along the landing gear and stuff like that. And once again, you do have little filler pieces. I'm just not bothering with them. Okay, you got it. I'm not bothering with them. You know they exist. I know you know they exist. It is what it is. So let's get this guy ready for transformation. So he's gonna ducking modo. So you want to pull that open. It just all kind of accordions out. And then you can flip this down, and that flips down. And then you actually have 2 really reflective bits there. On the Gundam, there's a couple like highly reflective spots too. I don't recall where they are. And something I didn't even realize. This has a hinge to it, so that can do that number. I don't know why. It can though. So let's get the Gundam prepped for ducking modo. Once again, pull that out and then drop it down. And then there's a couple tabs in there, so you can just plug that right back in. And by the way, this little tiny hinge will pop off occasionally, so just know that. And then you want to bring this in. I don't have little lasers to guide it, so that's it. So And then the part that's most incomprehensible to me from within the show is how these get onto here just because, which means they have to come unpegged. By the way, limbo. Heavy backpack equals limbo. Bends from the hips, so he won't never want to do that properly. So, kind of like the MG does, you just slide that up, untap it, and maybe I'm speaking out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure the MG did something along those lines. I don't believe it was just a pressure fit. Come at me, bro. I don't care. Spin your Gundam around, so hopefully he's facing the right direction. And you know what? I'm tired of him standing. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use his handy dandy standy. And we're going to do very similar to the way the Quanta did. And this will slide up into place. Perhaps have it backwards. That's more. Didn't clip in though. It is what it is. Okay, so let's adjust this stand accordingly to hold our friend here like that. It's kind of sad. So this is the real grade. This is the fancier one that absolutely will never hold itself up. So there. Now he's actually just kind of hovering, which is funny. Which is like like a kid hung from his underwear on a flagpole. All right. So anyway, back to what we were doing. So GN drivos, do this, and then you flip this bit up like so, and now you have some stuff happening there. So now that T-shaped tab is facing this way, it will slide into the GN drive. And what's cool is, I didn't see this when I first put this guy together. I was like, how does this mount? Because there's like a whole extra ring dealy on these. So they actually did find a better way than the MG in this case. And I dig it. I do. It's a cool way for it to integrate into the Gundam itself. And I like that. So why is this one like just droopy as all get out? That's not... It's not normal, Tim. I'm just going to call him Tim from now on. So if you want to, you can do the Extendomatic here. See, that one wants to stay at a lower angle without falling. This one wants to be a butthead. And that GN drive is just spinning freely. So we're just all catawampus. Like, we're just going to do all the things we want to do because we can. We're a freaking innovator. We'll do whatever we want. We are Gundam. Okay, so let's lock that to full out mode there, so to speak. And look at that, it's not even the same on side to side. So something is not happy on this one. I don't know what's going on with it. It's just being dumb. Now, if you want to, you can rotate the GN drives backwards, so he's thrusting forward, which is fine and dandy, if you like. So he's like, shoosh. Damn, why is that just so stupid? Like, it just doesn't want to do anything proper. The cool thing about the O-riser pods here, my hands are in the way of things, so it's like it doesn't know where to focus. These can also pull out and up a little. So that will be how it can shoot and do extreme cool stuff. One thing you never get is the like giant beam effect for whenever he makes a huge beam saber to slice the Momentum Mori, which was insane. Let's just be honest. Maybe it's the actual... Is this what's off? Is it the arm? Oh, that's what was going on. Okay. It's kind of hard to tell. It moves in like minutia. All right, GN Sword. Okay, GN Sword 3. And this is one of the things I learned. So you have this cool green, wintergreen edge here. What I didn't know, and I found this out from the wiki, is that this stuff is made of the same stuff that the cool green bits here are. And that's basically GN condenser material. But because of what it can do, it can take extreme heat. So what this becomes is a giant, like, heat hawk almost. So this actually slices through stuff because it's super hot. It's pretty cool. would you stop focusing on stuff way back there and focus on the thing in my freaking hand? So that's what I found out. So Thomas wanted to know why some of the weapons have the green edge and what it meant. So basically, this is taking in straight up GN particles, using it to heat up the edge, and that's how it cuts through armor and what not. That's pretty cool. And then you have this part that flips up. You have the handle that tabs into, the hand. That's what handles do. Is that why they call them handles? Because they go in your hand. And then it doesn't plug into the forearm, which makes me sad, but it does plug into the elbow, which is always good. And then you just close that guy down. Now, he does technically do the thing where you can hold the handle and flip the sword up into more of a sword. But this mode, to me, is always more iconic and just how he flings it around. You also get the straight up rifle mode. I was like, cannon? No, it's a rifle. So that is really cool to me. By the way, you can flip that tab away, not in the storage mode. And of course, being the GN-0000 or GN-0000, you get what the MG has, and you get the cool beam condom. Except you have very similar problems to the fact that this is just remotely snapped together, and you slide it up over the blade and hope you can find the slots for the tabs. I believe I got them all in there. Some crud now. And just probably wait for it to split at the end, down here. But that's pretty cool that it can do that. That's, it's classic. It's a thing you do. I'm gonna have to take a picture of this on its little stand here. Oh, by the way, since I did that, you can see the shiny bit inside the knees now. Point your toes. Be dramatic. Be like, yeah, look at me. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, you can do things. So, one other thing you can do is replicate the movie version of this guy, because, of course, the GN drives were destroyed at the end of the series. Spoilers. So you want to come up here and push the GN drives out. Actually, I think you have to open this. Hold on. You need to. Well, just yoink that off entirely. That's not really what I was trying to do. So just, you want that to be open enough that you can get the GN drive out. So it's what I knew was going to happen. It actually did that to me before filming, so I kind of figured that would happen again. Go ahead and push that up and out. Remove the cone. Once again, these are proper GN drives. And let's see here. You want to align that. So the GN drives by themselves are just cute. So you get the GN particle tanks, which they had to use because the GN drives were gone and they still needed the 00 to blow stuff up and slice stuff in half. Okay, so you want to insert this. Oh. Use the same bases, dummy. I didn't realize that. So you want to use that, I believe, the same manner, like that. And it would be cool if they gave you multiples of these so you didn't have to do this. Also, this is something I'm trying to remember, does the MG do this? I don't think it does. I could be wrong. There is a version that comes like this. I just don't remember which one. Okay, and you want it to be like that, because you need the slotted section down here. Use that tab to align everybody and then close it up. And do the same thing on the other side. Once again, looking at it upside down. And of course, particle tank storage is limited. Obviously, you don't have a thing producing GN particles. You just have something using them and storing them. Basically like a super hefty GN condenser. Same thing that the Virtue basically functions off of. Lots of particle storage, not so much generation. So there we go. So you can even get the part from the movie, and then once again, if you wanted to utilize the gray or clear version of the cockpit of the O-riser, that would be what that is for as well, to get the movie O-riser. Actually, this would be a good spot. So I'm getting phlegmy. The weather's been changing a lot, and we did a bunch of dusting yesterday. So let's get some more expressive crap happening here. And then we'll even bring back our GN swords. So, and this is where you run into the 00 problem of having too much stuff and not enough space, and you just have to work around it as best you can. I mean, in the literal sense, like literally work around the Gundam as best you can to get everybody where they need to be. Come on. Dang it. Like, I'm right there. I just can't. There we go. All right. And let's get this arm up and see. Let's see if he can do better than his future brethren, future incarnation, kind of, that has a hard time holding his sword up. Though I will say, this one, the GN Sword 3 is definitely less big for obvious reasons than the 5. But this one looks really good, and actually having it on a stand is obviously preferable. So definitely do yourself a favor, get yourself a stand for your RGs, for the love of God, because they clearly can't hold themselves up in any meaningful way. I want to get some forward lean. There we go. Get some good forward lean, because otherwise he would be backward leaning, and that's going to be a really good pose. Let's drop the camera down. Let's see how. Oh, that's excellent. Look at that. Look at that shit. All right. So finally, I'm actually feeling happy about this. I have been not great about this, and that's actually the condenser version, so that's going to be in the thumbnail. So if you guys noticed that he did not have GN drives in the thumbnail, well, too late for you to not lie about that, because there's no way. No way. Okay, so let's do the thing. This video has gone on forever. So here he is with his Quantinus. Yeah, I was just letting it happen. I'm just like, there's no point in stopping it. It's just gonna happen. And this one has just been disappointing. It's also taken a few tumbles since this happened. And once again, look, so the 00 and the 00 Quanta have very similar elbows, very similar forms. This one has the ability to plug stuff into it. The regular 00 does not, and that's interesting to me, because it did. The MG has that, where the guns and both GN sword types, when this is in rifle mode, it plugs into the forearm. This plugs into the forearm. Here, this one doesn't. It's really strange. Out of these two, this is definitely superior. It has all the problems that anything with a big-ass O-riser on it has. This one has all the problems of having a big old sword and super weak hips. And obviously this is a very sleek surface, so that's going to be a problem. I don't have a standard one to compare this to in the HG form, so I apologize. Hopefully next year I can make that happen. But let's talk about... Let me get this out of the way, and I want to talk about this, because this is a problem I have with a lot of kits and even a lot of action figures. So let's just scooch this to the back. And let's talk about the extra price of a kit like this. What am I supposed to do with all that crap? You've got separate beam sabers, and of course beam blades if you never do anything with them. You have other types of beam blades. In this particular case, I've got GN drive cones. You know, you can always swap those out. I have an extra stand that's just for the O-riser. I've got these guys, which I can technically put on the Gundam. They're not really part of it as time goes on, but you know, they can go on there. But then you've got, you know, the thing that connects the swords together. You've got your expressive hands, you've got your landing gear. You have, if you're not using your landing gear, then you have the extra parts of the landing gear fillers that are all still in the box. I've got other spare hands that are still in the box. There's all kinds of crap that you don't use at all. And it's fine to have options, but sometimes I don't want them. I don't want this much extra shit. Like, the beam saber handles. Okay, 90% of this is the same as the standard beam saber that goes on his butt. You know, the ones back there that you can't see because I don't have the camera turned. So you have those, and you can take them off, and you can put beam blades on them. These are unnecessary. These are wholly unnecessary. He doesn't need those at all. Or give us ones that have flip out handles for all it matters. You know, if you're going to have that ability to plug stuff into the palm, do it. You know, just give us that and just call it a day. Something like that. But the idea that I now have to store all of these excess parts, I don't even know. Like, okay, so these are MG beam blades that were from the... I'm sorry, these are the other HG beam blades that came from a kit that we haven't looked at just yet. So, you know, spoilers. A little bit different. Also, you could swap them out however you want to do that. It doesn't matter. But I can't tell you how many beam blades laying around from countless kits. You know, however many kits I have endless beam saber blades. I have just beam sabers I've never used. I have covers for, you know, side skirts that where the things should go. I've got other little bits just everywhere, and it's a thing that we never really talk about. Just endless amounts of storage of parts for kits that we're probably never ever going to swap out, right? Can we just agree on that? And sorry, that's a minor rant. I just wanted to get off on that for a second. RGs are good. Always put them on a stand. That's my only thing. The only RG I have that's not on a stand is my second one, technically. First one I ever reviewed. And that's the Unicorn. And he's just standing there. Nothing going on. No dynamic posing. These are ones that definitely should have dynamic poses. Like the Quanta. I should have that. If I can get my hands on an Exia, I'll do that next year if I can. Estrella, if I can do that. But they're all going to go on a stand. There is exactly what I was talking about. This is a problem. It's always a problem. Go ahead and glue that. I'm going to glue it before I do the thumbnail. But guys, let me know what you think. Is this one worth it? Are RGs worth it to you? Do you prefer RGs over HGs? Or kind of how I pointed it out with the Quanta last time, where I prefer the HGs. And why I prefer the HGs. At least I brought it back. I was like, why do I like this over this? I have to glue this before I go too far. That is just absolutely crazy that those just come apart. So, but guys, I'll leave you with that. Of course, like, subscribe, do all things. Go check out previous 00CTOBER playlists. If you have not, go watch the rest of the month. If you have not, go back and watch the Quanta review if you didn't watch that. You know, it is what it is. A lot. What's funny is more of you watch the HG Quanta than the RG. So that leads me to believe that nobody necessarily cares about the RGs. So we'll see how that goes. But I'll see you guys next time. Remember, as always, keep on building. There's just too much shit in this kit. Good God.